You're welcome, great leaders. In this moment, you will be learning about attitude of transformational leaders. Every transformational leader has striking attitudes that's standing out as great leaders. And we will be talking about it, such attitudes, explaining them in a nutshell, so that at least for this moment, we'll be talking about them briefly and we'll move on. There are basic attitudes that smack them out who are transformational leaders. Number one is the attitude of unconditional responsibility. Unconditional responsibility is that attitude of a great leader that makes them take charge of the narrative of every circumstance. They've won themselves, they've been able to grow themselves to take charge of the narrative of every circumstance. When there are issues in a system or among people, usually there are people who take the victim position and others take the player position. The unconditional responsibility attitude of a great leader makes you to take the position of a player aspect of it. Being a player in the whole midst of challenges means that you are in charge of the narrative. You don't sit down there and things will work themselves over you. You work things out within the same system, in the same circumstance. You work it out. When people have issues, when people have attitudinal issues, attitudinal challenges, you don't play the victim. You as a great leader, you don't play the victim. When you play the victim, you will be waiting for people to let me wait for him to tell me I'm sorry, to apologize to me. He's supposed to apologize to me. He's supposed to do this. He's supposed to do that. He's supposed to make a contribution. He's supposed to do that. But the great leader doesn't all do that. He doesn't place the blame game on people. He takes charge of the narrative. He moves straight ahead to make sure that he establishes a good rapport that makes things work again. That's an attitude of a great leader. Unconditional responsibility puts you in position where you take charge of the narrative. You don't start pointing fingers. You don't give excuses why things go wrong. When things go wrong, you are not the one giving the excuse, because that is not your way of life. That's not your attitude. You have been trained to take responsibility, to take charge of the narrative for things to work well. When things don't work well, you take charge of it. Alright, you take responsibility for it, and when things work well, you also take responsibility for it. Unconditionally, that's the word. As a great leader, learn to take unconditional responsibility. Don't be in a position where you are always blaming others for things that didn't work out at any point in time. Learn to take unconditional responsibility, and in that way you'll be able to do well in your leadership journey and in your work. Another point I want to discuss here is the attitude of essential integrity. As a great leader, every great leader has essential integrity. That is very, very important. We live in a society and times where people lack integrity. They lack the capacity to manage things efficiently and in the way they ought to. And when things are handed over to them, they usually come short of what they are supposed to do. Essential integrity entails that a leader is accountable. It tells that a leader in that area, in that sphere where you are working, you are very, very much accountable. When something is handed over to you, it doesn't miss. Alright? It means that what you say you will do is what you are doing. Who you said you are is who you are. What you are supposed to be doing is what you are doing. You don't stunt the process. You don't, if you're a staff, for instance, you don't come to work by 8 o'clock and then you say you came by 7 o'clock. That's not essential integrity. So essential integrity means that you are doing what you are supposed to do, the way you are supposed to do. You don't rob the system. When something is handed over to you, you don't rob the system. You are trustworthy. Most times people say, well, people talk about trust, and listen, it's not about, a lot of people don't have issues with trusting people. But what is important is whether this leader is worthy of receiving that level of trust. That is important. You, as a great leader, are you worthy of receiving the level of trust you expect from the organization that will entrust certain positions, certain things, certain responsibilities into your head? Are you worthy of that level of trust? That's important. That's very crucial. Are you worthy of my trust? I don't have problem with trusting you, but have you worthy of that trust? So there are people who don't have, because they have not built that attitude of essential integrity. They like to rob the system, not just the system, but even anybody that is around them. They find a way to rob from him. They find a way to rob from her. They want to play smart at everything. You can't be somebody who is playing smart and still be a great leader. It doesn't work that way. Every great leader has essential integrity. He knows the boundaries. He works within the boundaries. You can't be expected to do certain work within certain boundaries, and you overstep the boundaries in such a way that has become very, very detrimental to the person that gave you the job. That's not good. So if you will have to be a great leader then and sustain it, you would have to maintain that attitude. Learn it. Is learn. Attitude of essential integrity. You don't steal from people without them knowing. You don't take things from people without them knowing and think or consider it as nothing. That's not an attitude of a great leader. A great leader means you have essential integrity. If you are to walk within a boundary, walk within that same boundary. If you have to draw a budget within that same boundary. And if something is entrusted into your charge, don't rob that. Don't take advantage of that. Don't frustrate that trust. Alright? That's what it means for a great leader to have essential integrity. There are a lot of people today, a lot of young people who have not learned essential integrity. They want to be smart at everything. You can't be smart at everything and you still want to be a great leader. It's not possible. The paths don't cross. You have to decide for yourself. That's why it's intentional. Leadership is being intentional. Growing in your leadership journey is an intentional journey. You have to make up your mind to be a great leader, a great transformational leader. And those attitudes that don't make you a great leader, you drop them. You ward yourself off them. You do everything possible to ward yourself off them. No matter the challenges and the temptation, you tell yourself, this is who I am. I maintain my identity. I am a leader with essential integrity. And that's very, very important. And I want to stop there for that particular one. Then the next one is ontological humility. Every great leader marks of ontological humility. There are signs, there are marks, there are things that make it possible. There are things that make it, establishes it that you have ontological humility. And it's very, very important. For example, when you put yourself in a position of a controller where you do not learn, you either put yourself in a position of a controller or a learner. But when you put yourself in a position of a controller where other people's perspective do not matter to you, other people's opinion don't count for you, what others say does not matter, all you say is what matters, your opinion is the final, and you are not open to new ideas, you are not open to new information, you are not open to new ways of doing things. When you become a controller, when you're a controller that way, you have no ontological humility. And when you don't have ontological humility, it affects your growth in leadership. It stunts your growth and also stunts the growth of the organization. And the worst of it is that every other person who is under your charge and your leadership, they all suffer it because they are under somebody who is not growing and who has no interest in growth. But if you decide to be a learner, it means that what people say counts. People's opinion matters. People's perspective matters. You consider yourself that your opinion is only a chunk in the whole pack. Your opinion is only a slice of the entire pack. So when your opinion is a slice of the entire pack, you'll be ready and open to listen to others who have the other slices of the opinions within the same pack to ensure that you yourself will grow and the organization grows and every other person benefits within that same process. And that's what it means to have ontological humility. Ontological humility is very, very important. There are people, when they are in position, they begin to do things anyhow because they still think that they can always do things. No, ontological humility makes you to co-create things, makes it possible for you to decide. We have to co-create. When we are to plan a program, we co-create the program. We create it as a team. We plan our time at our timetable as a team. We plan our programs and expected result as a team. It makes you to work as a team because you can't work as a team when you have the challenge of ontological humility. You cannot be you can't work easily with a team when you don't have ontological humility, or when humility is a challenge for you. Every other person becomes a threat to you because ordinarily there's no humility within you. But great leaders who are humble are at ease. They do not have insecurity challenge. They don't have that insecurity challenge. They are very, very sure and settled. They are settled beings. In fact, they are non-anxious leaders. So that's very, very important. So this moment I've been able to tell you about unconditional responsibility. I've told you about essential integrity and then ontological humility. In our in-depth trainings and executive master classes, we'll talk about these things in depth and bring our hands to work, or a hands-on work where you can do practical aspects of it in a great deal, so that these things can be demonstrated so much and you understand this. But for now, we are doing it gradually in a simple leadership journey, so that we'll be able to touch some of the things that are very, very necessary and bring this knowledge across to us in a way that is very dynamic. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I'm sure that you have been able to learn something, and in other videos we'll continue to talk about this more. There are other moments where we'll talk about these things in depth more and more as a topic of their own, like this unconditional responsibility. It can come as a topic on its own in another lessons and other videos. You'll be able to watch them also and listen to them and follow up. Also, let me know you can also follow up straight to YouTube. Follow us also in TikTok and Instagram. All of them, just type Dr. Sam Kofu. You will also see all those videos. The videos you never watched before or you didn't watch before, you can go back again and begin to watch them again, so that you can follow us and our leadership thoughts and this lesson consistently. Thank you once again. God bless you. See you.